Today's episode is going to be huge. There is so much progress that I need to make towards some very specific goals. For example, I would like to get these villagers zombified and cured so that they're cheaper, but I can't do that without blaze rods. I've also got several farms that I would like to put in place. I'm constantly needing mud and other things that would be really easy to farm up, but for that, again, we need to go to the Nether. I've been putting this off, but I think it's time we bite the bullet and check out what is on the evil side of this world. Before leaving my librarians, I decided to do the very first thing to prepare for a trip to the Nether, and that was to enchant a piece of gold armor so that the piglins wouldn't get mad just at me walking around and I would still have the protection I need for that fiery world. I've been debating on a good place to put my Nether portal. I'm just not sure yet where I want it to be official and total, so we're not going to do a big old build to get it going. I am literally just going to put it down, like this. Then we're going to cross our fingers, hold our breath, and head on through. I have absolutely no words to describe what I just spawned into. I'm literally in a box of netherrack with nothing else around me. I'm going to have to dig just to see the entire portal. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Have any of you guys spawned like this with your portal just completely blocked off? I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. It's a little bit safer because there's not so much around me, but at the same time, there's nothing around me. Wow. I mean, what's the craziest spawn you guys have ever had when you've come into the Nether? Because this is for sure the top of my list. After clearing out a good box around my Nether portal, I decided the easiest thing to do would just be to literally pick a direction and go in a straight line forward. And it didn't take too long before I opened up into a soul sand area. There were a lot of bones around here, which was really cool. That was going to be good bone meal and building blocks for the future, but there are a lot of things I'm looking for, and bones weren't necessarily on my list for the day. I got to the bottom of the area and there was a crimson forest really close, which was awesome. Definitely getting all the different wood types was on my list. Crimson forest, one of them, and that was going to be easy to find. I still needed a warped forest because I love the teal wood, but priorities for this visit. The first is the quartz. I need quartz if I'm going to make some of the components for farms. The second are blaze rods, and I need a fortress for the blaze rods. So I worked my way through some of the Nether and just kept my eyes peeled. This forest went on for a really long time, so I decided it might be better if I switch back and start exploring a different direction. Turning right at the bottom of my stairs that I made put me through a lot of soul soil and soul sand. Those are really hard to say together. Can you do it? Fat, soul, soil, and soul sand. That's as fast as I can do it. Anyhow, I was able to pick up a bunch of resources, the sand and the soil, as well as other things here like basalt. More bones, of course, too, were all around this area, and I was able to dodge most of the skeletons just looking for a fortress, hopefully someplace close. The first structure I came upon was not a fortress. It, in fact, was a bastion. And I have a really bad habit of dying in bastions, but I kind of had this sneaky little corner over here where I could shoot down into... Look at them! This was so easy! This was definitely the best bastion I have ever tried to get to. Then again, I only did the top room. I didn't venture fully into the bastion, just the treasure chests that I could see at the top. The bastion was clearly huge, and this was just the top tower that I was accessing, so that's as far as I went. I didn't want to die and lose everything at this stage. Mostly it was really nice that I could control the area, block things off, and get to the chests without a problem. The chests had some nice stuff in it, but it didn't have the new smithing templates, so we will be back to this bastion again in the future. I escaped the bastion without incident, which is, I must say, completely miraculous. And then I was able to get back to the base and drop my pockets off. Exciting as it was to find the bastion, I still didn't have most of what I was headed into the Nether to find. Having explored for quite some time down one tunnel going right out of my portal, I decided to just turn and head the opposite direction and started a tunnel digging down going the other way. Now, I cannot even begin to tell you how exciting and surprising and completely perfect this was, because I was not digging for very long when I found the coolest thing at the end of my tunnel. Wait for it. Can you even believe my luck? I mined down the other tunnel straight into a fortress. Not only that, but I'm dead center, right in the middle on top of the fortress where you need to be. This has got to be the most insane thing ever. I was so excited. I popped down onto the platform as if it had been built for me there because it was so advantageous, and blocked off some spots just in case I encountered wither skeletons. After that, I was in search for blaze rods. Just a couple corners in the fortress and I found the blaze rod spawner, which was amazing. The blaze spawners are fairly common, I think, in the fortresses, but it was nice that I was able to find one that was completely covered in netherrack, which made it a lot easier to farm up the blaze rods. With fire protection on my helmet, looting on my sword, and a really nice box where the blaze rods had nowhere to fall out into some lava that were easy to pick up, this was the easiest I have ever had trying to find blaze rods before. I had a couple dozen blaze rods in my pocket in no time and was able to make my way back to the base, where I just stopped and mined out as much quartz as I could find on the way back home. The fortress was so easy that I was feeling exceptionally brave, and so I decided I was going to head back out and go another direction off of my box. This led me to a different level of what I think is the same bastion, and I got really curious and wanted to pop my head in, but I resisted the urge and set forth out further into the Nether. This was actually a pretty easy journey, but at the end of it was my perfect destination, the warped forest with the beautiful teal wood, and I collected all the things up for it so I could build with it in the future. Now that I have blaze rods and blaze powder, we can get the villagers converted and put back into some really good trades. Now this makes trading huge with the villagers. It's actually very powerful. In order to do that, we need to trap a zombie, which is why I'm waiting for this moon to rise over my shoulder so we can head out into the field and find one. I thought this was going to go really fast, it would be dark outside and everything would spawn, but I guess I've lit too much up in the area already. Eventually, though, I found a candidate. Once I cleared out the skeletons and spiders from around my little zombie friend, he followed me back to the spot I had prepared for his eternal home. I named up our little monster with a name tag, and the converting machine was ready to go for the villagers. The converter system that I use is one that I've used before. It works really well, so I do recommend it. It is actually from a YouTube video that I watched from J4, and you can just follow their tutorials same as I did. I'll put a link to that video in my description. The next step is just to grab the villagers out of their spot. All of them are still in minecarts and connected to the rail system, or mostly connected. So I just push them out down to the really creepy basement where they can get converted. I think we might have to move a villager into the basement who's going to be our mad scientist of the college, who is clearly performing experiments on these villagers. I mean, why else would you have a weird zombie converter in the basement after all? Anyhow, I put him through the system and then I wait. And then I put the next one through the system and then I wait. And I'm just going to skip through this because it takes a long time. The time is certainly well spent because the villager trades go down so much, especially if you reconvert them multiple times, and all of a sudden my trades are so affordable and I can get every book I have ever wanted. Villagers take a long time to convert, so I'm going to start doing some chores around town here, and I'm going to begin with a retaining wall. While I was working on the wall, I got a very welcome guest. Look, he has the mangrove. I am so excited to find Wandering Trader with the mangrove. As you know, I don't have a mangrove swamp, at least not within the boundaries I've given myself, so this was epic. I immediately ran back, got my emeralds traded up for as many of the propagules as I could, and then I went back and put it down right away. The mangrove wood is amazing. It's one of my favorites. I'm so excited. Did I mention super excited? I think this means I have every type of wood in the game now, which is so epic. Having gathered up so many supplies from the Nether, I had everything I needed to move forward on a couple projects, except I really needed more XP if I wanted to get my armor and my gear completely leveled up, just everything maxed perfectly. I also have mending now, and I can't keep my tools up without some good XP. So I've decided to go ahead and do the zombie spawner that is really close to the college building. The spawner is underwater below the college town, just off the dock I created, and it should be pretty easy to put together. The spawner is working so well. I'm really impressed with the rates, especially given it's just a single spawner, and I haven't even lit up most of the caves around here, a little bit, but not a ton. So it's been really nice to see it working. The zombies spawn in the room, and then they shoot up the tunnel and drop down so I can get them. Zombie spawners may not give you the best loot, but it's working really well to heal up the mending things on my armor and my tools, and that is exactly what I built it for. So I'm going to let this build up, get everything super healed, and make it look a little bit better. I gave the room an interesting look, so now I won't be bored when I'm down waiting here for XP. The last thing I want to do for this episode is fix the cave entrance. Now, this is a project I'd meant to do sooner because it needs some help, but I don't really know what I want to do with it yet. So I'm just gonna get in there, put some things around, and see what comes out. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate the amazing amount of support I've had on this series so far. And with that, I hope you all have the best Minecraft day.